Who is Nala's father? It's one of Disney's biggest mysteries, a question that's haunted Lion King fans for decades. While we know every detail about Simba's royal lineage, Nala's father remains completely unknown. Some think it's Mufasa, others suspect Scar. But what if Disney's been hiding an even bigger secret all this time? After scouring the internet and doing extensive research, what I found will change everything you thought you knew about the Pridelands. In the original Lion King, we meet Nala alongside her mother Sarafina, but that's where the family tree ends. It's strange, isn't it? In a story all about family and legacy, half of Nala's heritage just vanishes into thin air. And when you start looking deeper into the Pridelands' history, you'll find that this mystery goes way beyond just a missing father figure. Every other character in the movie has their lineage clearly mapped out, from Mufasa's royal bloodline to even Zazu's family connections as the royal advisor. But Nala? Her past remains shrouded in secrecy. But when looking back at early drafts of the script, something fascinating emerges. Back in 1990, when the Lion King was still called King of the Jungle, there were actually huge hints about who Nala's father might be. And let me tell you, it's not who you'd expect. These early versions of the story paint a completely different picture of the Pridelands, one that would have changed everything we know about these beloved characters. You see, in these early versions, Mufasa was heavily implied to be Sarafina's mate. Yes, you heard that right? That would have made Simba and Nala siblings. Sounds crazy, right? But here's where it gets even more interesting. The original story didn't just stop there. It went even further, suggesting that Sarabi and Sarafina were actually sisters. This would have made Simba and Nala not just siblings, but also cousins. Talk about a complicated family tree. But before we dive deeper into that wild family dynamic, we need to look at how real lion prides actually work, because this is where things start making more sense. In Africa, lion prides aren't as simple as one male, one female. Usually there's one or two dominant males who protect the pride, and they have mating rights with all the lionesses. This means that cubs in the same pride often share the same father, even if they have different mothers. So technically those early scripts where Mufasa could have been Nala's father, they were actually pretty accurate to real lion behaviour. This brings us to something fascinating about lion pride dynamics that most people don't know. In the wild, female lions stay with their pride for life, while male lions eventually leave to establish their own territories. This means that every pride is essentially a family of related females, mothers, daughters, sisters and cousins all living together. The males, on the other hand, are often outsiders who've taken over the pride. Sound familiar? This exactly mirrors what we see in the movie with Scar taking over Pride Rock. But Disney quickly realised this might be a bit too complicated for a kids' movie. I mean, imagine trying to explain that Simba was marrying his half-sister. Yikes! So they scrapped that idea completely. But that left us with a new problem. If Mufasa isn't Nala's father, then who is? There are really only two adult male lions we see in the entire movie, Mufasa and Scar. Let's tackle Mufasa first. There's actually a huge clue in the movie that proves Mufasa can't be Nala's father. Remember when Nala's trying to convince Simba to return to Pride Rock? Simba gets angry and says, "You're starting to sound like my father." And Nala responds with, "Good, at least one of us does." Think about it. If Mufasa was Nala's father too, Simba would have said, "Our father, not my father." That's a pretty clear sign they don't share the same dad. Plus, there's another big reason Mufasa can't be the father. When Scar took over Pride Rock, he tried to wipe out anyone who could challenge his claim to the throne. That's why he tried to kill Simba. He was eliminating all threats to his rule. If Nala was Mufasa's daughter, she'd have a claim to the throne too. But Scar lets her live and grow up normally in the Pridelands. In fact, we see young Nala freely roaming around Pride Rock during Scar's reign, which would be incredibly unlikely if she carried royal blood. So if it's not Mufasa, what about Scar? Well, that's where things get even more interesting. The evidence against Scar is actually hidden in plain sight. In Disney's TV show The Lion Guard, Rafiki tells a story about Nala's father when he was a cub, and this mysterious lion looks nothing like a young Scar. Instead, we see a red-maned lion that's completely new to us. This revelation completely changes everything we thought we knew about Nala's heritage. The show introduces this new character in a way that raises even more questions. Not only does he look different from both Mufasa and Scar, but his appearance in the story is brief and mysterious. We see him as a young cub with distinctive features that set him apart from the royal family line. His red mane is particularly interesting because it suggests he might have come from a different pride altogether. In lion prides, certain physical traits like mane colour can be inherited, and this red mane doesn't match either the black mane of Scar or the rich brown mane of Mufasa. Here's where things take an unexpected turn. In a 2004 panel, Lion King directors Roger Allers and Rob Minkoff were asked about Nala's father. They admitted that following real lion pride dynamics, it had to be either Mufasa or Scar. But then, Tom Bancroft, one of the lead animators, revealed something even more surprising. They simply never decided who Nala's father was. They figured no one would notice or care about this missing piece of the story. This admission opens up a whole new set of possibilities. If the creators themselves never determined Nala's father, it means every theory we've heard could potentially be valid. Some fans speculate that her father might have been a rogue lion who passed through the Pridelands, which actually fits with real lion behaviour. In the wild, male lions often travel between different prides, sometimes staying only long enough to mate before moving on. There's also a fascinating theory that suggests Nala's father might have been part of a previous pride that lived in the area before Mufasa's reign. This would explain why there's so little mention of him. His story might be tied to a darker chapter of Pride Rock's history that the movie never explores. After all, we know very little about how Mufasa came to power or what happened to any previous inhabitants of the Pridelands. But after more than 20 years, fans are still searching for answers. And maybe that's the biggest twist of all, because Disney has been adding more and more pieces to this puzzle. First with those early scripts, then the Lion Guard revelation, and even the animator's confession. Each new clue just deepens the mystery. The more we learn, the more questions we have. Think about it. What if Nala's father wasn't just overlooked or forgotten? What if the reason we never see him is much more significant? The Lion King story we know focuses heavily on Simba's journey and the male line of succession. But there could be a whole other side to Pride Rock's history that we've never explored. Consider this. In lion prides, males can be driven out by stronger rivals, killed in territorial fights, or leave to establish their own territories. Any of these could explain why Nala's father isn't around during the movie. And Disney's decision to keep this mystery alive through various hints and clues in their extended universe suggests there might be more to this story than we realise. The Lion Guard's reveal of that red-maned lion opens up even more possibilities. Was he driven out by Mufasa or Scar? Did he leave the pride voluntarily? Or did something more tragic happen? These questions aren't just about filling in a gap in the family tree. They're about understanding a potentially crucial piece of Pridelands history. So who do you think Nala's father really is? Could he be another lion we haven't met yet? Or is the truth hidden somewhere in the details we already know? Is Disney saving this revelation for a future project, or will it remain one of animation's greatest mysteries? Let me know your theories in the comments below. And if you enjoyed unraveling this Disney mystery with me, make sure to hit subscribe and that notification bell, because trust me, there are plenty more secrets in the Pridelands just waiting to be discovered.